They said humans were a myth, a ghost story whispered in the dark corners of galactic taverns. An abandoned system with primitive automated defenses, left behind by a species that had destroyed itself centuries ago. High Commander Zar'keth of the Vorran Dominion believed every word as he stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Crimson Talon, watching the swirling colors of hyperspace collapse into the familiar darkness of normal space. He felt the satisfaction of a hunter closing in on easy prey. Behind him, 3,000 warships emerged from the fold in reality, their crimson hulls gleaming like blood against the stars. The Sol system lay before them. Unremarkable. A yellow star, several planets, the scattered debris of asteroids and comets. And somewhere in that cosmic dust, the legendary homeworld of humanity. Earth. Fleet has successfully transitioned. High Commander, his navigation officer reported. All ships accounted for. Forming assault formation Delta 9. Zar'keth's 6 eyes gleamed with anticipation, his scale hands flexing over the command console. He had spent 5 years planning this campaign. 5 years studying the scattered reports from survey ships, analyzing the automated defenses, calculating the minimal resistance they would face. The Galactic Concord had forbidden any power from claiming Sol. The system was declared a historical monument, a reminder of what happened when primitive species developed nuclear weapons before achieving social unity. But the Concord was weak, their fleets scattered across 1,000 border disputes. And the Vorran Dominion was hungry for territory, for resources, for the prestige of controlling humanity's birthplace. Begin full system scan, Zar'keth commanded. I want detailed analysis of every satellite, every automated platform, every defense grid. Chart all. His tactical officer, a young Vorran named Telmarx, bent over the sensor displays. His claws danced across holographic controls, manipulating data streams with practiced efficiency. Minutes passed, then more minutes. Zar'keth watched the tactical map populate with contacts, each one analyzed and categorized. High Commander, Telmarx finally reported, sensor sweep complete. I'm detecting several hundred satellites in orbit around the third planet. They appear to be communications relays and early warning systems, all in standby mode. There are also some ships in dock around the fourth planet and its moons, the one the humans call Jupiter. Power signatures are minimal. Everything appears to be operating on automatic cycles. Any sign of active defenses? Negative, sir. If there are weapon platforms, they're powered down below detection threshold. The whole system reads like a graveyard. Zar'keth nodded slowly. It matched every report, every piece of intelligence they gathered. The humans had annihilated themselves 312 years ago in a series of nuclear exchanges that had left their homeworld scarred but habitable. Their automated systems had continued functioning for decades afterward, gradually degrading without maintenance, without purpose, without their creators. Now those systems were just echoes, ghosts of a dead civilization. All ships, advance in formation, Zar'keth ordered. Maintain battle readiness, but I expect minimal resistance. Target the orbital platforms first. I want them destroyed before we establish our presence around Earth. Communications. Prepare the message for the Galactic Concord. Today, the Vorran Dominion claims the Sol system. A chorus of approval rippled across the bridge. 3,000 ships began their burn toward the inner system, engines blazing, weapons primed, crews eager for a victory that seemed inevitable. Zar'keth allowed himself a moment of pride. This would be his legacy. The commander who conquered Earth. The leader who brought humanity's homeworld under Vorran control. Future generations would study his tactics, would speak his name with reverence that he didn't know that he was already being studied, that every movement of his fleet was being tracked, analyzed, and anticipated. That 300 years of patience was about to end. 3 kilometers beneath the Rocky Mountains, in a bunker carved from solid granite and shielded by enough armor to withstand a direct nuclear strike, Admiral Okafor watched the Vorran fleet advance. The command center was a cathedral of technology. Holographic displays filled the air, showing views from 1,000 different angles. Stealth satellites, tracked, every Vorran ship. Passive sensors logged their communications. AI systems analyzed their formation, their weapon signatures, their reactor outputs. Okafor was 68 years old. He had spent his entire life preparing for this moment. His grandfather had been among the first generation of the Deception, those who had made the agonizing choice to hide humanity's survival. His mother had helped build the first stealth ships, and Okafor himself had overseen the last 40 years of the Shadow Armada's expansion. He looked lean and sharp. His dark skin was lined with age, his close-cropped hair iron gray. But his eyes were fierce and his hands steady as he studied the tactical display. They're following the predictable approach vector, Lieutenant Commander Elena Rostova said from her station. She was 35, brilliant, and had the same quiet intensity that marked all officers of the Defense Force. Straight line from emergence point to Earth orbit. No question, no reconnaissance sweeps. They think they're alone. Arrogance, Okafor said quietly. It's a weakness we've seen in every species that's achieved galactic travel. The moment they master faster-than-light travel, they assume they're invincible. He studied the tactical display. 3,000 ships. It was the largest invasion force ever assembled against Sol. The Vorran Dominion had committed nearly a quarter of their total fleet strength to this operation. They have no idea what they're walking into, Rostova said. No, Okafor agreed. How could they? We spent 3 centuries making sure they saw exactly what we wanted them to see. He remembered the briefings from his youth, when he'd first been read into the Deception Protocol. The shock of learning that humanity hadn't destroyed itself, that it had all been an elaborate illusion. 312 years ago, humanity had made first contact. A Dracian exploration vessel had entered the Sol system, detected Earth's radio signals, and made peaceful contact. For 6 months, humanity had celebrated. They weren't alone in the universe. Then the Directions returned with a conquest fleet. The war had lasted 3 years. Humanity, barely capable of reaching its own moon with chemical rockets, had been hopelessly outmatched. But humans had always been good at 2 things, adapting and deceiving. The global governments had made a desperate plan. Using their newly understood alien technology, they would fake their own extinction. Nuclear weapons were detonated in carefully calculated patterns across Earth's surface, enough to look devastating from orbit, but positioned to minimize actual casualties. Entire cities were evacuated to underground facilities. The world went dark. When the Directions returned to claim their prize, they found a radioactive wasteland. They cataloged the extinct species and left. Humanity breathed again. But they had learned a terrible lesson. The galaxy was not safe. So humanity had remained dead. Generation after generation lived underground, in orbital stations hidden in asteroid belts, in colonies disguised as automated mining operations. And while the galaxy thought them extinct, they had reverse-engineered alien technology and improved upon it. They had sent out stealth probes to every corner of Concord space, learning languages, studying tactics, mapping territories. They had developed weapons that no galactic power had even conceived of, and they had waited. Sir, Rostova said, pulling Okafor from his thoughts. The Vorran fleet has crossed the orbit of Mars. Estimated time to engagement range with our orbital platforms, 47 minutes. Status of the Shadow Armada. All 4,200 ships report ready. Stealth systems operating at maximum efficiency. The Vorran sensors can't detect us. Okafor nodded. The Shadow Armada. Humanity's secret fleet. Ships built in hidden shipyards, wrapped in stealth fields that bent light and sensor waves around their hulls. For 3 centuries, they had been preparing for this day. Open a channel to all fleet commanders, Okafor ordered. Audio only, encrypted. A series of acknowledgement lights flashed across his display. Captains and admirals throughout the Sol system were listening. This is Admiral Okafor, he said. Today, the galaxy learns that humanity is not extinct. Today, we remind them why our species climbed to the top of Earth's food chain. We are persistence predators. We are capable of incredible patience and devastating violence. He paused, letting the weight of the moment settle. The Vorran fleet believes they are conquering an automated system. Let them maintain that belief until I give a word. When we reveal ourselves, it will be total. But remember this: we are defenders, not conquerors. Our goal is to send a message to the galaxy. Leave Sol alone. All ships, maintain stealth protocols. Hold positions. Wait for my signal. The channel closed. Okafor sat back in his chair. They're approaching the orbital platforms now, Rostover reported. On the tactical display, the Vorran fleet was spreading out, preparing to engage Earth's ancient satellites. This was the art of the trap. Not springing it too early, not waiting too long. The perfect moment existed in between. He would know it when it came. High Commander Zar'keth studied the orbital platforms with growing satisfaction. They were ancient things, primitive by modern standards. Target solutions locked on all platforms, his weapons officer reported. Ready to fire on your command. Fire. Clear the space around Earth. The Crimson Talon shuddered slightly as its main batteries discharged. Across the fleet, 3,000 ships unleashed a devastating barrage. The automated platforms activated their shields and returned fire, but it was futile. One by one, they exploded. Within minutes, the orbital space was clear. All platforms destroyed, the weapons officer confirmed. Zar'keth nodded. Excellent. Communications, begin broadcasting. High Commander. Telmarx's voice cut through the moment, sharp with alarm. I'm detecting massive power signatures. Throughout the system. Hundreds, no, thousands of contacts. What? From where? They're decloaking. Contacts behind the moon. In the asteroid belt. Around Jupiter. Sir, they were here the whole time. They were hiding. Zar'keth lunged to the tactical display. The display was covered in red icons. Thousands of them. Ships. Warships. They were appearing across the entire solar system. How many? He demanded. Telmarx's voice shook. Over 4,000 contacts, High Commander, and their power signatures. Each one reads higher than our dreadnoughts. The main view screen shifted automatically. A ship was emerging from behind Earth's moon. It was massive, a fortress that stretched for what must have been 50 kilometers, bristling with thousands of weapon batteries. Length, 49 kilometers. Telmarx read, his voice hollow. I'm detecting 19 reactor cores, each one outputting more power than our entire fleet combined. This is impossible, Zar'keth whispered. A communication channel opened. Every screen on the Crimson Talon's bridge displayed the same image, a human face. He was older, this human, with dark skin and gray hair. But his eyes were sharp and calculating. I am Admiral Kenji Okafor of the United Earth Defense Force, the human said. On behalf of humanity, welcome to Sol. I apologize for the deception. Zar'keth found his voice. You're supposed to be extinct. The entire galaxy knows humans destroyed themselves 300 years ago. Okafor's expression hardened. The galaxy knows what we wanted them to know. 312 years ago, we made first contact. 6 months later, they returned with a conquest fleet. We learned that the galaxy is not a safe place for species that reveal their capabilities too early. So we disappeared. We faked our extinction so completely that no one would think to look for us. And while you all thought we were dead, we were watching you, learning your languages, your technologies, your tactics. For 3 centuries, Admiral, humanity has been observing you. We know everything about the Vorran Dominion. Zar'keth glanced at his tactical display. 4,000 human ships surrounded his fleet. But Zar'keth had not risen to High Commander by accepting defeat easily. All ships, he roared. Battle formation. If these humans want to fight, we'll give them one. Target the closest human vessels. Fire at will. Telmarx's eyes widened. High Commander, we can't. I said fire. The Vorran fleet erupted with weapons fire. Plasma bolts and missiles streaked across the void toward the human ships. 3,000 warships unleashing everything they had. The human vessels didn't even move. The barrage struck their shields and simply stopped. The energy dissipated harmlessly across invisible barriers that didn't even flicker. Direct hits confirmed, the weapons officer reported. But High Commander, Their shields aren't even registering the impacts. It's like we're firing pellets at a fortress wall. Impossible. Concentrate fire on a single target. All nearby ships. Focus on grid reference Theta 7. 200 Vorran ships redirected their fire at a single human cruiser. The combined firepower of 200 warships hammered against the human vessel's shields. Nothing. The shields held without strain. Then the human ship returned fire. A single lance of blue-white energy shot from its bow. The beam moved faster than Vorran sensors could track. It struck the lead Vorran dreadnought and passed straight through its shields as if they didn't exist. The dreadnought's entire starboard weapon array exploded. Secondary detonations rippled across the hull. The ship went dark, tumbling out of formation. The Void Render has been crippled, Telmarks reported. One shot. They disabled a dreadnought with one shot. Evasive maneuvers. All ships scatter. The Vorran fleet broke formation, ships peeling away in different directions. But the humans were ready. 50 human destroyers broke from their positions and accelerated. They moved impossibly fast, reaching speeds that made them blur on Vorran sensors. They wove through the scattering Vorran fleet like predators through a school of fish. Zar'keth watched in horror as his ships tried to fight back. They fired everything they had. Plasma cannons, missiles, kinetic rounds. The human ships dodged with contemptuous ease, their movements too fast, too precise. And when they returned fire, it was surgical. A human destroyer engaged 3 Vorran cruisers. Its weapons, some kind of phased energy beam, sliced through their shields like they were paper. Weapon systems exploded. Engine arrays went dark. Life support remained intact. The 3 cruisers drifted, helpless. High Commander, the tactical officer screamed. We've lost 40 ships. 60. They're disabling our entire left flank. Return fire. Target their engines, their weapons, anything. A wing of Vorran fighters launched from the Crimson Talon, racing toward the nearest human destroyer. 20 fighters, each one piloted by Vorran aces. The human ship didn't even slow down. Point defense systems activated. Thousands of micro-railguns that tracked each fighter independently. The human vessel was surrounded by a cloud of hypersonic projectiles. All 20 fighters were destroyed in 3 seconds. No, Zar'keth whispered. More human ships were engaging now. They moved through the Vorran fleet like wolves through sheep. Every shot they fired disabled a Vorran vessel. Weapons offline. Engines dead. Crews alive, but helpless. The Vorran ships couldn't touch them. Their shields were impenetrable. Their speed was impossible. Their weapons cut through Vorran defenses like they were nothing. High Commander. Telmarks' voice was desperate now. We've lost 200 ships. 300. Sir, we have to retreat. Navigation. Zar'keth roared. Prepare emergency jump to hyperspace. All ships disengage in. Jump drives are offline, the navigation officer reported. Sir, they're being jammed. Every ship in the fleet. We can't escape. Okafor's voice filled the bridge again. That was 50 ships, High Commander. Destroyer-class vessels. Our standard frontline units. They've disabled 320 of your ships in 4 minutes. Shall we continue? Zar'keth stared at the tactical display. Red icons everywhere. His ships, crippled and drifting. The blue icons, the human ships, moved among them like sharks, untouched, unstoppable. Or, Okafor continued, would you like to see what our capital ships can do? Perhaps our dreadnought? The UEDS Eternal Vigil hasn't fired a single weapon yet. Would you like a demonstration? The massive human flagship loomed on the view screen. Its weapon batteries, thousands of them, began to glow with building power. Stop, Zar'keth said quietly. High Commander? Telmarks asked. I said stop. Zar'keth's voice cracked. All ships, cease fire. Cease fire immediately. The Vorran fleet went silent. Disabled ships drifted among those still operational. The human vessels stopped their assault, holding position around the Vorran fleet like a cage. Zar'keth straightened his uniform and looked at the view screen. At the human admiral who had orchestrated this perfect trap. What do you want? He asked. I want peace, Okafor said. but peace on humanity's terms. You will return to galactic Concord space. Okafor continued. You will deliver this message to every member species. Humanity is not extinct. We are alive. We are over 4,000 warships strong. We have technology that surpasses anything the Concord has seen. And we have been watching the galaxy for 300 years. Okafor's voice was firm, but not cruel. You will tell them that the Sol system is now sovereign human territory. Any ship that enters our space without permission will be destroyed. Any fleet that attempts conquest will be annihilated. Zar'keth listened, his scales dulled with humiliation. But beneath that was something else, something that felt like respect. However, Okafor said, his tone softening, you will also tell them this. Humanity is not interested in conquest. We don't want your worlds. We don't want your resources. We simply want to be left alone. Respect our borders, and we will respect yours. Live in peace, and we will not interfere. And if they refuse, Zar'keth asked, then we will demonstrate that 300 years of preparation has made humanity the most dangerous species this galaxy has ever encountered. We survived our own self-destructive tendencies. We faced hostile aliens and chose deception over defeat. We are persistence predators. We outlast, we outwait, we adapt, and we never give up. Zar'keth looked at the ruined section of his fleet. 320 ships, disabled in 4 minutes. His best crews, his finest vessels, rendered helpless by human technology they couldn't even comprehend. Do you understand your mission, High Commander Zar'keth? Slowly, Zar'keth inclined his head in submission. Yes, I understand. Excellent. We're releasing control of your jump drives now. We've also uploaded complete sensor logs of this encounter to every ship in your fleet. The Concord will need proof. Oh, and High Commander, one more thing. Yes, we've deleted all navigation data about the route to Sol from your computers. You won't be able to find us unless we want you to. Humanity appreciates our privacy. Zar'keth felt his systems coming back online. Jump drives. Navigation. Around him, his fleet was stirring, recovering from the devastating demonstration. You may leave now, Okafor said. The view screen went dark. Zar'keth stood in the silence of his bridge, looking at the tactical display. 4,000 human ships, 320 of his own, crippled and drifting. All ships, he said quietly. Prepare to jump to hyperspace. Destination, Vorran Prime. We have a message to deliver. As the fleet prepared to depart, Telmarks approached carefully. High Commander, what will you tell the Concord? Zar'keth watched the human ships on his screen. The massive dreadnought, the destroyers that had torn through his fleet like they were nothing. The truth, he said, that we thought we were hunting myths, but the myths were hunting us all along. And when we fired on them, he paused, remembering the futility of watching his weapons splash harmlessly against their shields. We learned that some prey evolved into predators. One by one, the Vorran ships jumped to hyperspace, fleeing the Sol system. And one by one, the human ships returned to their hiding places, vanishing back into the cosmic background as if they had never existed at all. 6 months later, the Galactic Concord convened an emergency session. Representatives from 300 species filled the Grand Chamber, their voices raised in debate that had lasted for weeks. The Vorran report had been reviewed and analyzed. The sensor logs were authentic. The evidence was irrefutable. Humanity was alive, and they were powerful beyond anything the galaxy had anticipated. Do we accept humanity's terms? The Nexian Collective's representative asked. Or do we assemble a combined fleet? Some argued for military action, but others remember the footage. The human destroyers moving impossibly fast. The shields that couldn't be penetrated. 320 Vorran warships disabled in 4 minutes. And they asked, if the humans showed 4,000 ships, how many more did they have hidden? What other weapons had they developed in 3 centuries of isolation? In the end, pragmatism won. The vote was unanimous. The Sol system was declared a protected sovereign territory under human control. No vessel would enter without explicit permission from Earth. The message was transmitted to Sol. The response came 3 days later. Humanity accepts recognition as an independent power. We decline, Concord observers. Our borders remain closed. Leave us in peace, and we will leave you in peace. In the bunker beneath the Rocky Mountains, Admiral Kenji Okafor stood with Lieutenant Commander Elena Rostova, looking at a display showing Earth's night sky. They accepted our terms, Rostova said quietly. We did it. For now, Okafor replied. Someone will test the boundaries eventually. They always do. And when they come, Okafor smiled. Then we'll remind them. We'll show them what 300 years of preparation means. He gestured to the stars. There are 4,200 ships in the Shadow Armada. But that's just what we've shown them. Every year, we build more. Every decade, our technology advances. Because that's what humanity does. We adapt, we improve, we overcome. The galaxy thinks they've seen our full strength. They haven't. What we showed the Vorrans was a warning. If they force us to truly fight. He trailed off, then shook his head. I hope they never do. Rostova nodded slowly. High Commander Zar'keth called us myths. We are myths, Okafor agreed. We're the myths that warn about the dangers of hubris. We're the myths about the monster in the dark that was smarter than you thought. We're the myths that remind the powerful that even the weak can be dangerous when they're patient enough. He turned back to his console. There was always work to do. Always new threats to monitor, new preparations to make. Humanity spent 300 years hiding, he said. Now we've revealed ourselves. The galaxy knows we're here. They know we're powerful, but they don't know everything. And as long as we maintain our edge, as long as we stay vigilant, we'll survive, Rostova finished. No, HFY. We'll do more than survive. We'll endure, because that's what apex predators do. Far above them, invisible against the stars, 4,000 warships maintained their silent vigil. Waiting, watching, ready. Humanity was no longer hiding, but they were still hunting,